Hello again. Now in the last video, I showed you what routers do in the network. They join networks together basically. So I showed that you've got a network here, network over there. You need a router to join them together. Now in this video, I've got a few props on here and I'm going to do a bit of a demonstration on how that works in the real world. And one of the tools I'm going to use is this little thing, which is called a Raspberry Pi, if you're not familiar with it. Now this is just a small cheap computer running a Linux operating system. So it's similar to Debian, and I'm going to use it, and it's got one NIC on there, network interface card, and when I need to, I can add another one just with a USB NIC here, so I can have two. And that's what I'll use for the routers. So I'll just show you what I've got set up here on the bench. This part you might know if you've been following this. That's my internet connection, which is disconnected for now, so there's no WAN connections. It's just my little network here. Okay, now on the LAN side of that router, I've got, as we know, the 192.168.0.0/24 network, and it comes into the switch, and I've got a couple of hosts connected on that network. So I've got the laptop here, I've got a Raspberry Pi here, so these three here, the Proxmox, pfSense on there, the laptop and this Raspberry Pi, this network card of the Raspberry Pi, are all on the 192.168.0.0/24 network. Now, this Raspberry Pi here is going to act as a router. So you can see it's got an extra network card here, and that goes into another switch. Okay? So on this side of that Raspberry Pi, we're now talking about a new network. Okay? And connected to that, I've got a Raspberry Pi host here, just so we can ping it basically, and another one here. And on this Raspberry Pi, I've got another second network interface card here, and that goes into a laptop over here. Okay, so there's a host. So this is another network here between these 2 points. Now, because there's only two hosts on it, I could just join it with a cable without needing another switch. But basically, I've got three networks here. Over the left side, I've got the 192.168.0.0/24 network. In the middle here, roughly, hanging off this switch, I've got the 192.168.10.0/24 network. And this last little bit here is 192.168.20.0/24 network. Okay, so I'm going to start at this end here on this host. And if we have a look at the IP address, we see it is 192.168.0.10/24, which is our subnet mask. Okay, now first of all, I'm going to try and ping, which is just a simple tool to check connectivity. I'm going to ping this computer here, which is 192.168.0.18. So if I do that, just ping 192.168.0.18, it's live and well. It's pinging here. Okay, Control C to stop that. Now, this host on the other side of it, or even this network interface, this IP address is 192.168.10.1. Okay, so if I try to ping it, it won't work. 192.168.10.1. Okay. I'm getting a message saying it's unreachable. I'm actually getting that message from the firewall because it's tried to go to there, which should have disregarded, but doesn't matter. The fact is, I'm not getting to that network. Now, there's something very important you've got to know. Whenever a host, any host, wants to send any packet onto a network, it checks its routing table first. Now, that's just a table internal to that host that tells it how to deal with packets of a certain IP address for their destination. And we look at that, just Control L or clear to clear, by doing IP route. Now this is the routing table for this device, okay? And I'll talk about default gateways later, maybe even in this video, but for now, I want you to concentrate on this. 192.168.0.0/24. Now that's the network that this is on. Remember, the IP address is 192.168.0.10, so that's one of them. But this route up here is saying that anything on that network send out of that interface. Now that interface is simply this one here. So it basically says if the destination is on this network, just send it straight out of here and it'll get there. Okay? But what I tried to ping over here wasn't on that network. 192.168.10.1 is not on this network. Okay? Now, what I can do is, it tried to go out the default gateway, which is the router over here, but that's not going to find it either. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a route on this device that tells it how to get to 192.168 10.0/24 network. First of all, I'll just look at the current network that I've got set up. Okay. Now, this is the IP address we've got, and this is the interface that it's on. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to add a route to the 192.168.10.0/24 network, so it'll be added to this routing table. So to do that, I do IP route add 192.168.10.0/24, and I say via, and this is like telling it, if you go back to my monkey analogy video, it tells it which one to actually go to, okay? So what I want to tell this thing, anything for that network has to go through this device. So I've got to tell it this thing's IP address, okay? And that was 192.168.0.18, okay? So now if I do IP route, I see I've got an extra one here. The 192.168.0.24, it says, well, that's straight connected to it, so it just sends it straight out there. Now I've got an extra one here saying 192.168.10.0 goes via the IP address of this, so that's its gateway for that network. So now, if I try and ping this interface over here, which was on that 10 network, 192.168.10.1, it works. Now, I only set up a route to go that way. I didn't send a return one. But in this particular case, I didn't need to, because this host here, this router, is part of this original network anyway. So it already knew how to get back to the 192.168.0.0 network. Okay? But if I go a bit further along to this host here, this thing's address is 192.168.10.2. Now this won't work. It'll sit there. Now what's happening is this host here knows that to get to that network it goes through this gateway like it did a minute ago. So it'll be going out there, and that router is part of this network here, so it would have sent it to there. Problem is, this host here doesn't know where the 192.168.0.0/24 network is. So this doesn't know how to get back. So I'm not getting a response. I know the ping would have got there, but the reply wouldn't have got back. So what I have to do is get into this machine here and add a route back to this network here. But how do I get to that machine? Well, I can hop in the router along the way and do it from there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is SSH this router here and do it from there. So if I SSH pi out 192.168.0.18, which is my gateway over there, log into that, and actually while I'm on there, I'll show you its IP addresses. You can see that it's got two cards. Ethernet 0, which is the built-in one here, has the address on the 192.168.0 network that we saw, and it also has this Ethernet 1 device, and that's the other network. So that's why it's part of both of them. And if I do IP route, that's what it's got. It's got both networks saying that network's on that device and that network's on that device. Okay, now from there, because it's part of that 192.168.10 network, I can get to this machine here. So SSH 192.168.10.2, which is this one here, I can get to it because there's no need to jump across the network because I've already landed in that network when I connected to that machine. So I just connect to it. Okay, Raspberry Pi 2. Now I'm in this network. And if I have a look at its routing table, it only knows about 192.168.10.0 network. So as I said, it had no knowledge of the 192.168.0.0 network. But we'll change that now. So just do a bit of sudo bash, why not? And I have to add the route. So similar to before, IP route add the original network over here, 192.168.0.0/24, and I have to tell it how to get back there. So for this thing, its gateway is going to be this host here, okay, this IP address here, and that was 192.168.10.1. Okay, so now if I do that, IP route, you can see it's added in there. So if I exit that, bring it right back to this laptop here, okay, bang, right back here, I should be able to ping that host now. So ping 192.168.10.2, and there it is. Okay, so it's going, this machine says, okay, your gateway to that network's through here, so send it through there, and on this one, it knows that that's the way back. That's beautiful. Okay, now I'll go one step further and go over to the little laptop over here, which is on the 192.168.20 network. Okay, there it is there. Okay, now its routing table will look pretty simple at the moment. It's just got itself. It has a default gateway. As again, I'll mention that at the end. But basically, it only really knows its own network. So what I'm going to do is add a route to this host, another one, telling it how to get to the 192.168.20.0/24 network. So, similar to before, IP route add 192.168.20.0/24 is via the same thing, because it's on this side of it, so it's still via that one. 192.168.0.18. So if you look at the routing table now on this laptop, we got a few now. We've got its locally connected one, as we know. It knows that's right there. We've got the 10 to send it via this device over here, and we've got 20 to also send via that device over there. But as I said earlier, you need a return route as well, because even though if I ping this host way over here, this knows to get it there, that doesn't know about it though. Okay, so if I try and ping it, it's really got no hope. 192.168.20.4. Hey, all sorts of stuff. Redirects coming from the gateway. But see, now it's got the same problem as before, where I don't know how to get to this network, because this will send it to here, but then this has to know what to do with it, and it doesn't. So if I go to this first router, SSH pi at 192.168.0.18, okay, if I look at its routing table, it still only knows about the two that it's connected to, okay, 0 and 10. It doesn't know where the 20 is. So if I sent a packet through there to get to this end, this will go, don't know where it is. Okay, so it'll stop, it won't work. So what I've got to do is add the route to this. So IP route add 192.168.20.0 network via, now for this thing, the gateway is going to be this router over here, which is 192.168.10.3. So now, in its routing table, it has a route to the 20 network. But now, if I try to ping that far host, I'm not going to get a result, even though in the routing table, I've got a route for how to get there. Okay, I've got a route to get to that network. It's via this machine over here. But what's happening again is, so far, let's look at bit by bit what's happened. Now, this laptop would have sent the packet out, would have gone to this router, okay, because it knows to get to that network, go through here. This router, because I've added the route, knows that to get to this network here, it has to go through this machine. Now, on this machine, it would have got there because it's part of the network. So I can be pretty sure the packet went all the way to here. Now, coming back the other way, this machine over here has to check its routing table. Now, in that routing table, I haven't added any routes, but what I do have is a default one. So just the first one for its own network, it knows that it's part of the 20.0 network, 192.168.20.0/24. Okay, so it doesn't have to route anything there. But instead of listing the other networks here, like I've had to add on the others, I've got this default. Okay, default via that. And what default means, it's basically, if you don't have anything specific, like if there's nothing specific that covers it, just send it out that one and hope for the best. That's your default. If there's nothing else that's defined for it and there's no better option that someone's put in there, more precise, then just stick it out the default. Now, that's not a problem for this particular host because it's at the end of the network anyway. Okay, it's only got one choice. It's only connected to one single host, right? So that default is via the IP address of this Raspberry Pi here, this router. So it would have sent its packet back. Now, this router needs to get it back to the 192.168.0.0/24 network, and it won't have a route yet. So it doesn't know how to get back. So what I'll do is I'll jump across via this one again and connect to this router. Okay, I'm already on it. And if I have a look, yeah, see, it only knows of the 10.0 network and the 20.0 network. It doesn't know how to get back to this 192.168.0.0 network. So I'll do the same thing again and add a route. So IP route add 192.168.0.0/24 via 192.168.10.1. So now it has a route to it. So now if I come way back here to this laptop again and try and ping the far end laptop, okay, I go ping 192.168.20.4, it works. So finally, we've got connectivity from this network to the host that's a couple of networks away via a couple of routers. Now, as you can see, there was a bit of work there involved in making sure that all the machines along the way had that route in their routing table. And it's not just the routers that have to have that. Each host itself has to know how to get there. Now, normally, you'd have a whole bunch of hosts on a network and you just have one gateway for them, okay? It's usually just the default gateway. But you can get tricky, and it's up to routers along the way to know what networks they're connected to and to let things know that they can do the routing. Now, there are things called routing protocols which make this stuff happen automatically, so they can send messages, routers can send messages to other routers and let them know what routes they've got, okay, what they're connected to, so they can disperse that information and keep the network alive. But in this simple situation, it just shows what's required to get a packet from one network to another or another. So I'll leave that there, and we'll talk more about how to fault find these things step by step in future. But for now, that'll do. And no doubt we'll talk about Raspberry Pis again in future too, because these will come up in a lot of these videos, simply because I like them, because they're very small Linux machines, okay? So I might set one of these up in a coming video. But until then, take it easy.